Yo, I'm here with my good buddy Alex V from Playing with Fire.
Yes, sir.
I personally think if you've seen my videos, you know that I say this all the fucking time because I believe it. I think the expert at text game, online game, and he's pretty fucking solid at game in general as well. I mean, we've gone out together.
You're making me blush, bro.
No, it's the truth though. You have a fuck ton of value to offer, and that's why I wanted you to be a part of the mentor manifestos, because I think that you are someone who should be a mentor to a lot of guys, and you are a mentor to a lot of guys, right? You've helped a lot of guys with their
for the mastermind, yeah.
Right, yeah. You've helped a lot of guys in your Facebook groups and with your course, and just even the free shit you give out. That's how we connected with the free stuff. Yeah, your website and all that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, let's just get started. Tell everyone who has no idea who the fuck you are, who the fuck you are.
Who the fuck I am. So basically, I started Playing with Fire. It was the name of my website and the name of my course and all that about a year ago. It's all about mainly it's 90% about Tinder, text game, getting laid from online. It's evolved a little bit nowadays. It also incorporates some like night game and day game, but mainly it's like online game. So it's like basically a website dedicated to improving your success online. That's like the best way I can explain it. I also have a Facebook group, and then I also created a Tinder course / product.
Sick. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to start off, we can just jump right into like the value. I think that one of the things that kind of drew us together as friends and as, you know, talking about different business things and stuff like that is that we have a lot of the same ideas when it comes to success with women. I know that there's like two halves to getting laid, two halves to learning success with women. There's one part that's like maybe three, well, bigger, give or take two. It's like the self-development community. Yeah. That's like all about, you know, drinking kombucha and health drinks and stuff like that. Sure, it's nice, but, you know, and like opening 50 sets and talking to ugly girls and, you know, like getting laid doesn't matter, all that kind of stuff. Then there's the other half that's like results-oriented, and that's non-bullshit results-oriented either. That's like, you know, you need to work on yourself and look fucking better. You need to improve. I call it the three aspects of being good with women. I call it attraction, how attractive you are, your presentation, so how well you present yourself in person, and then your technical game, I think, which is in a way the least important if the other two are really good. That's kind of how I see it. And I know we see eye to eye on that. Yeah, basically. And a big thing that you teach is sexual market value. Like that's kind of, I think, in hearing your product, reading your product, and reviewing that, you talk about the core of, you know, being a guy who ups his value sexually, and then everything else comes after that. Right. Like if you have a great text game, the best text game, but you don't have any sexual value, you're not doing shit.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. And that's one of the, and for you guys who are watching this now, you've seen the fuckboy frame, you know, that's one of the biggest things that I talk about in that course. It's about adopting these fuckboy traits that all the 9s and 10s that are guys have, and putting them onto yourself, and then your game comes afterwards. So maybe talk a little bit about SMV. Where did you start noticing this concept? Not what it is per se. I mean, you'll probably talk about that a bit. But when did you start to really put an emphasis on upping your attractiveness as a man, and kind of what changed in your mind where you're like, shit, this is what it is?
There wasn't like one turning point. It was kind of I guess realizing that when I would go out with guys, that the guys who were more ripped, the guys who dressed better, generally speaking, overall got laid more, even if their game wasn't better, right? So kind of seeing that, reading some like non-mainstream like pickup and self-development, like getting out of like the mainstream stuff where like the belief is that good game conquers all, right?
Yeah,
But like, you know, if the girl never matches with you because you're ugly as fuck, or, you know, you're fat or whatever, you know, you're not going to get a chance to run a good game. Same thing in person. You know, you can have great game, but you go up to the girl and, you know, you're dressed like a slob and she immediately thinks you're homeless and rejects you, right? Like, you can have the best game in the world. It's not going to do shit. So basically kind of realizing that. Also realizing with myself, like, you know, I would go out and sometimes I would dress better than others, and realizing that, you know, I mean, there was numerous exceptions. I picked up girls in, like, cum-stained pajamas and stuff like that. Like, you know, like, you're like, well, I'm serious, though. Like, you know, like, but, like, on average, like, when I would dress nicer, I would get better results, or like better, at least initially, at the very least initially. And then once you have that initial, you know, interest, it's much easier to capitalize on it. So kind of realizing that kind of became the turning point. And then realizing, okay, so it's not just game, it's like up your sexual market value as much as possible. You know, like be in the best shape that you can. You know, like fucking like have your hair on point. Like now I spend a little more on a haircut. I don't go to like the cheap like Chinatown places to get like this is a man with like the perfect hair, but like, you know, like I don't get like the super cheap haircuts. I'll spend a little more money because I realize that it's important. So that's kind of.
But I'm curious, where does I'm going to throw a question at you right now. Where does game come in? Like, so is the whole community full of shit? And I have my own answer for this. But like, forget like the mainstream guys. But like, generally, why are we learning game?
Because game allows you to capitalize on those opportunities, right? So I mean, that's like a very simplistic way. Is like sexual market value gives you opportunities. Game allows you to capitalize on them. I mean, you can. It's a little more intricate than that in reality because if you have high sexual market value, you'll typically have less LMR and you'll need less game. But you can have a guy who's a perfect 10, he's a model, but he has no game. He's going to miss out on the vast majority of his opportunities. He's only going to get laid with the girls who literally do all the work for him. Yeah. And even then, he might not. The girl will be like, so, like, you know, you should get my number. He'll be like, oh, let me get your, like, Facebook. Yeah. You know, I mean, I've seen this, like, you know, guys who are way better looking than me, but they have no game. Like, they can't capitalize. They can't pick up on social cues.
Yeah, really quick. Let me cut you off. Here's how I see it. I think, and I was telling this to my buddy Alex. You know, we both know Alex. We used to work with. I was telling him that what I think the real thing that game does for you, for a guy, is it teaches you how to handle like your fears, your natural fears with women. Like, for example, like leading or like saying, "Come with me to a girl." Like most guys don't develop that when they're younger because, you know, our parents don't teach us that. We don't grow up like fucking Justin Bieber where we believe everyone's going to suck our dick. So we have to trick ourselves into believing that or learn it over time. So what I think game does, like going out and approaching women or like you teach your text game, like, you know, doing like taking bigger risks online dating and sending sexual texts, for example. Right. I think what that does is teaches guys how to handle fear in certain moments where if they handled that fear, they would get a better result. Yeah. Like you mentioned, like the male model, right? Or like the guy, I think this happens a lot with guys who become attractive relatively quickly. But because I have students like this, they'll become attractive like in the span of like 3-4 months. They'll hit the gym and take their fashion life really seriously. Yeah. And they'll realize that girls kind of like them more, but they still won't get results because the situations they get in where they're actually expected to push harder, maybe where the girl's like giving them a little bit of shit or something, right? Because they don't have the game. They don't understand how to handle their fear. That's kind of where they fall short. That's how I see it, at least. I think that's what, yeah.
I mean, that's a huge part of it. I would say that, like, comes into capitalizing on opportunities because that's most guys, but then you have some guys who have no fear. They just can't pick up on social cues, right? They're the guys, they literally have no fear. They're not afraid of anything. They just can't pick up on the social cue when the girl is saying, hey, it's okay for you to stop talking and start escalating. Mm-hmm. Or when the girl's saying, like, hey, you're kind of making me a little uncomfortable. You should like back off for like a few minutes. Like they can't pick up on that, and they blow girls out. So I would say like game these are both answers that kind of encompass each other.
In reality, that group of guys though is a small minority.
Yeah, they are.
Most guys are not like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. But like I'm just saying, like in general, like I think like game is just like being able to capitalize on the opportunities that you get. You know, that's the way I've always seen it.
And kind of not fuck it up.
Yeah, not fuck it up.
Something else to add to the whole like game conversation. What I kind of like to say is that game is just you when you get opportunities because you're attractive, you just know how to maintain attraction and not lose it. You know what I mean? Because most guys, I think they use game, and I've been talking about this. If you guys saw the marketing that I was doing for the Fuckboy Frame, you guys know I talk about this a lot. That it's like most guys see game as a way to get the girl to be attracted to them. But the attraction already happens like in the first 5 minutes. That's if you're meeting in person or on Tinder. It happens with the swipe. Like she already knows. Yeah, the reason why she's swiping is because she decided that she would be open to fucking you. But the game part is just maintaining the attraction. The game is not making her attracted to you. Like that's
yeah. Like that. Yeah. Like I would say that's like a very simplistic explanation. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, when you're going out, I've seen you go out and do game, and we've been around a lot of guys in this community. What would you say is on your journey, or I know you do a lot of day game. You go out and not like hours of roaming the streets, but I know that you're competent in day game and you have gotten laid from day game, the occasional Whole Foods approach.
Yeah. That's really where I get most of my.
Are you buying rotisserie chicken? How can I help you? No.
Oh, I work or no. Maybe no. Yeah.
You should do that. Actually, buy a Whole Foods shirt and just use your like power in Whole Foods. That's like so stupid.
I mean, I could have done that in LA. I got to the point where like all the guys who worked there saw that I picked up so many girls there that they were all like
in the Whole Foods.
Yeah, like guys who worked there. So like when I would walk into Whole Foods, they were waiting for me to approach because they're
serious.
Yeah, because like 50% of the time it doesn't go well. Sometimes it does go well. So it's always like they're always waiting. Like, all right, what's gonna happen? Like,
what's your craziest Whole Foods story?
I don't have like I don't do really crazy shit. Like I'm not like running up to girls like fucking quinoa, motherfucker.
You haven't,
like
fingered a girl in the middle of Whole Foods or anything like that?
no, I'm not. I mean, not one.
See,
Not one that I met there. Like I brought girls that I was already hooking up in Whole Foods, and maybe like we get a little frisky in the kale section, but like, bitch, you like this kale? Like, no. Like I've never actually. I fingered girls that I met at Whole Foods, and like 2 hours later, but no.
Okay.
I mean, my like.
You put me through so many emotions just now. But you were like, oh, it's like I don't do any crazy shit. I was like, oh, okay, no worries. And then you were like, I mean, and I was like, oh. And then you were like, well, I mean, girls that I did in meetings. I was like, oh. Then you were like, kale section. I'm like, oh.
I mean, I had one girl where this was just stupid on my part. I was like fucking like in the like frozen carrot section, like fucking picking out carrots, right? And I see this big booty Latina like walk right past me. She like beelines towards the meat section. I've been like picking out carrots for like 2 minutes.
By the way, you don't have to worry about the mic. You can just like keep it down here.
You just keep it, okay.
Not like here, but just keep it like in this area.
Gotcha. So I roll up on her, and she's like really focused on like the meat counter, and like the right approach would have been to let her see me first and come a little bit like so she like sort of sees me approaching, so I didn't startle her because when you startle a girl, you're starting like way behind the curveball, right? And then but like I kind of fucking came up behind her because I was just like so determined, and my hand I didn't realize how cold my hand is, so I touched her back and my hand was freezing, and she literally like fucking jumps in the air. She's like, oh, and I'm like, oh hey. She's like, well, what's going on? I'm like, well, I just thought you were cute. I was like in the carrot section, and she's like, and she like walks away.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, I thought
no, this didn't lead to anything. Yeah,
okay.
I fucking freaked her out with my fucking freezing hand, carrot hand, but
cold hand calibration.
Cold
social
hand.
awareness.
Yeah.
That. Remember, pay attention to the situation. Pay attention to your hands. Your hands freezing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
You know what's funny? I actually like have like a legitimate fear of approaching girls in supermarkets. Like I don't do that shit.
Really?
Not because I think it's not good, but I just literally will get anxiety. Like I just get straight. Those of you guys who have worked with me like know this, and if you've seen this, you know what I'm talking about. Like I get anxiety. Like when I'm in weird situations like that, like if I'm in a Whole Foods and you're like, there's a cute girl over there, I'm like, oh my god, I cannot approach this woman.
Interesting.
Literally.
I mean, I get anxiety too sometimes, but I would probably get more anxiety like during the day than like. Well, I mean, Whole Foods can be during the day than like inside the Whole Foods. Like I don't know why. Like I guess because I've like actually banged like quite a good amount of girls from Whole Foods.
Okay.
That I already have like this Whole Foods confidence, like the situational confidence to have Whole Foods. Like I walk inside a Whole Foods, I'm like,
when you get into a Whole Foods, you're like looking for food and pussy.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. You're pussy shopping and looking for food. No, but so I wanted to ask you this question. I was saying that we were talking about the whole like raising your attractiveness as a man, and then the game is kind of maintaining that attractiveness. Kind of agreed on that. But I'm curious for someone who's learning how to go on this journey, or even someone who's in your mastermind group, the guys that you mentor there, or even someone who's watching this product, you've been through the course and you kind of know where to start. What would you say someone should put a priority on? Like, how does one balance that? And again, I have kind of my own answer, but this is your time, and I'm curious what you would advise me, my younger self. Have you seen my old Facebook photos?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. You've gone through dramatic change.
Like, when I was in that stage.
Is like not even comparable.
Yeah, exactly. It's really bad. My video assistant, Kelly, actually saw me like in the snow talking to my old wing from like 4 years ago, and he was traumatized by it. He was like, this is not you. This is not who I'm working for. He was like, there's no way I'm working for this guy. And I was like, yeah, that's me, buddy. He's like freaking, he's behind the camera, like freaking out right now. No, but what would your advice be to me? Like, what would you work on first? Would you say go out hardcore, work on game all the time, like go out 5 fucking days a week? And I think we both agree it depends on who you are as a person, of course, but as a general rule of thumb, of course. But would it be the game route, or would you do more self-development? Like, don't even focus on approaching girls. Instead, go to the gym like for 3 months, work on yourself and all those things. What would you, if you're a coach, what would you tell me?
I mean, I would approach it like holistically. I would sit down and like write down, analyze your strengths and weaknesses, and like write down your goals, right? So start off by going to the gym 4 days a week, right? No one needs to go to the gym every single day. If you're going to the gym every single day, you're probably like fucking, dicking around. Like, no one can do like these intense, crazy workouts every single day. Go to the gym 3-4 days a week, work out hard, make a goal for yourself. Like, hey, listen, I want to put on like 15 pounds of muscle, or I want to lose body fat, by this month. Make like a solid goal. Go 3-4 times a week. Fix up your diet so you can actually attain those like, weight goals. Focus on getting good logistics, having a place. Like if you live with your parents, I meet so many, like a lot of guys in my mastermind group, they have like almost this fear of like moving out of their house. I'm like, homie, you're going to get way more pussy if you don't look like mom's now watching Jeopardy next door or something like that. I think that's what Sonny says, but like I found that line funny.
Really quickly, I don't even need the mic, but something just to kind of put, something I've seen in your mastermind and just in the way you coach guys as well is that you are very aggressive with your honesty as far as like setting a boundary. You're like, okay, I'm gonna give you help, sure, but if you're like being a fucking idiot, not in a bad way, not being condescending, it's to help them. You're like, but dude, like if you're scared to move out of your parents' house, I'm just telling you, you're gonna get laid more if you have your own place. And even if it's like with a roommate who's cool, who's gonna let you do that, and then if you're living with your parents, and you shut that shit down quickly, and you're giving guys a fuck ton of value, but at the same time you're giving guys practical advice. It's not like
I've seen a transformation with a lot. There was this one dude. I mean, he won't care if I use his first name Tommy. He was like this Asian dude. Yeah. He was like a successful entrepreneur, right? He had like a business, making like way more money than me and all this shit. But he also had his own place, like a nice condo he bought, whatever. Yeah. But he was just like being like a giant fucking pussy. And like I would literally always comment like, Tommy, you're being a pussy right now. That was like the major thing. I was like, Tommy, can you guess what I'm gonna say? He's like, what? You're being a pussy. Like it was being a pussy. Yeah. It was a month of me calling him pussy, but like not in a mean way. I'm like, dude, you're being a pussy right now. And now he's getting way more pussy than he ever had. Yeah. He just wrote me like a testimonial that he wanted to do, and it was just like, dude, I've gotten way more girls in the past few months or in the past month than I have in the past year. Like I stopped being a pussy, more or less. I mean, he still has moments of being a pussy, but he's a lot less of a pussy.
Yeah. So to go back to the question, so that kid, that Tim from 5 years ago, who's like in the community and pickup, or even looking at your Tinder stuff and trying to Tinder, that would be a little harder to have success because it literally is just looks. I think not just, but it's a big part of it. But let's say going out and approaching women. You said go to the gym 4 days a week, do all that. Where does game come in? Because I feel like you're not going to be getting consistent success until you handle those things. Like
approach hot girls that you see throughout the day, right? Like that's like really like as you're going around doing your life, like fucking going to the bang, going to the gym, you see hot girl, like you got an extra few minutes, like fucking approach her. Like first of all, I think those are more natural than like there's nothing wrong with doing like day gaming sessions. Like I do those, like like fucking, especially like if you got a buddy you want to chill with, like you walk around, you drink some coffee, and you pick up some girls. Nothing wrong with that. But like I think that it's more natural. Like your approach, generally speaking, will be better if you're like going about your way and you're like, oh hey, like listen, I was actually just going to bang, but you're like really cute. Like it'll come off more natural on average, like in my opinion. Also, I would say probably go out like if you 2-3 days a week, like on the weekends, on a Thursday, but like I don't think anyone should be going out every single night of the week because then you can't focus on other aspects. Right. You can't focus on getting a decent place. You can't focus on like everyone should also work towards financial independence, right? Because that gives you the time to then go meet girls and travel and do high value shit, so that you won't have any time to do any of the other stuff. So I would say like find a balance. Yeah, like, find a balance between like doing like no one gets laid without like you have to approach girls at some point. Unless you're like a celebrity, like you can't be like, I'm gonna go to the gym. These bitches, they'll come to me. Like
being real though, even some celebrities slide into DMs, bro. And not that they have to necessarily, but celebrities also like slide into fucking DMs.
No, I would if I was a celebrity.
Fuck yeah, I mean,
Megan Fox's DM sliding right in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think kind of. So what I would say as well. I don't even have necessarily an answer for that, but I think where a lot of guys are confused. You know how we talked about the dating chain pyramid, the dating food chain, how there's like the 4 tiers. And when I'm referring to them, the dating food chain, I'm talking about things I talked about in the core curriculum of the fuckboy frame. So you know how you look at the dating food pyramid, the dating food chain, and at the bottom is like the hard case, and then the second level would be like the nice guy, which is where I was like the funny guy, the guy who tells a lot of jokes and has girls laughing at him.
That's actually me too.
Okay, and has girls laughing at him, he doesn't really get laid. Yeah. That's like one step above a hard case, and then the level above that is like the value guy, who's like the guy who has a nice job and he has had a girlfriend. Maybe he's been in a frat in college, but once he leaves that. He's been in 2 or 3 relationships, and he goes cold approach. Maybe he can get laid because he's a cool guy here and there, but he doesn't really get the quality or the consistency. Right. And then at the top 10%, you have like the fuckboy guys who are the bartenders, promoters, those cool guys, and they have those traits. So I think a lot of guys think that they can jump up the tiers of the pyramid by doing game. That's kind of how I would answer that question. It's really the same thing you said, actually. I think that a lot of guys think that by doing game, they can jump up the tiers of the pyramid. So they can go from a hard case, for example, a guy who's like struggling with, doesn't even have friends and doesn't know how to really relate to people. And again, no offense to any of you out there who are like this, but you can learn from it, right? So a guy like in that paradigm, I know people like that, and I've worked with those kind of guys, and they'll go out and they'll do game for like a year, and then I'll see them a year later, and they're more confident. They're much more confident, but they're the same hard case. So they're more confident, but they're still not socially aware. Or let's say the nice guy. This was me. Literally, I went out for like 2 years straight watching, like the mainstream companies and things like that, and watching what they did and copying that. And I was so much more confident. I could open like anytime I wanted. I could spin girls around and make them laugh. And I got like laid here and there, like a lucky lay after doing 25 approaches over the span of like a whole day and going out all the time. But at the end of the day, I was still the nice, funny guy. And there would be girls in my college that I want to sleep with, but didn't take me seriously. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm learning game. It's growth. But it wasn't growth. I was staying in the same part of the food chain. So to echo what you said, I think that literally part of it, there has to be a balance. There has to be, like, you have to learn game, yes, to learn how to handle fears and to know when you're presented with certain opportunities, like you said, what to do in those situations. For example, a girl who's into you, how to push it just over the edge where she's now chasing you, or a girl that's attracted to you even mildly, how to maybe turn her on even more and, make certain things happen. But I don't think that game is going to take you up the notches of the dating food chain, or as you would call SMV. I don't think that it's going to do that for you. I think that game just helps you handle your fears. Part of this as well, dude, and this is another thing I told you I wanted to talk to you about. Like, a lot of guys who get into game, especially I found like the value guys and the nice guys, what happens is they'll eventually maybe get like a girl or something. They'll get a higher quality girl, like who's more high quality than them, and they'll wonder why like girls don't stick around and constantly see them again. And the reason why is because, again, they think the game is what's making them attractive, but it's not them. It's actually not them that's getting the girl. Like, the girl's like, okay, in the moment you were able to pull me back to the hotel and fuck me, right? Because you made me laugh and I was the right amount of tipsy, and I happened to be at a point in my life where I would just go home with a stranger, which is cool. A lot of girls do that, right? But they don't want you. So I'm curious.
Or commonly, what I'll see is like the other extreme is like if those guys either they'll have shitty retention, or they'll actually get into a relationship with the girl, but it'll be a shitty relationship where like the girl like has all the power, and then like eventually the girl cheats on them and like all that shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's like the other end of the spectrum. Well, I'll see that all the time. It's like it's like the like the value dudes, like decent looking, game, meh. And then they get into a relationship, and then the girl goes out and fucks me someday.
Yeah. I mean, fucks you. Oh, you made it personal just now.
I mean, I fucked a lot of girls as guys as girlfriends and husbands.
Alex Valenchek, fuck whoever you are. I'm sorry.
I would never
didn't do it on purpose.
I would never do it to a friend consciously, ever. But
I love
a random dude.
You'd never do it to a friend, but it's like the people watching this are not
like, homie, you fucked my wife.
But they're not your friends necessarily. So you're like, I wouldn't do it to a friend, but I mean everyone else.
I mean, I would. Like, if I'm being honest, like, I don't
no,
give a
for
fuck.
sure. Yeah. No, the same. I've been in the same situation.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, what I'm saying is that, like, these dudes, they get into, like, because they don't have, like, they're not that confident in themselves. Again, they also become, like, too focused on the girl, so, like, they get off, like, their path in life. Like, like, say they were working on, like, getting jacked, and then they get the girlfriend, they, like, stop going to the gym, and then, like, eventually, like, the relationship stagnates out, and the girl, like, the dynamic in the relationship becomes shitty. Like, the girl holds all the cards, the guy holds none of the cards, eventually the girl cheats. I've seen the same pattern over and over again.
Yeah.
With, like, friends and clients. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of sad, and to echo that, maybe we'll get into some tangible things you could do, of course, to change that, but to kind of set what we're talking about here, I think that part of it as well is that, let's say when, I've been talking to Justin Wayne about this a lot, and what happens is when you're a guy who, let's say if we're going to put numbers on it, if you're a guy who's like a 6, right, a 6 out of 10, let's say you're average, and I don't mean physically, because again, like we discussed for men, it's a part of how attractive you are is also kind of status, the boundaries you set as well. That's something else I kind of added in and things like that. So let's say that you're a male 6, like you look okay, you dress okay, you're pretty much an average guy, right? That's pretty average. And you meet a girl. Let's say you hook up with a girl in a club in New York. You pull her home, and you happen to see her again. She doesn't have a lot of guys she's fucking, because I think it's a myth that girls have tons of guys that they're fucking all the time. I think they have a lot of options, but some guys think that, like, no, it's fine, she's fucking 10 other guys. No, a lot of girls tend to be picky sometimes, I think. So let's say that she's at a time in her life where she's not fucking everyone. She's like, okay, you're a decent dick, and you see her again. Yeah, you see her again. What happens is, let's say you two continue that, and that girl's arguably an 8. Let's say she's an 8. She's a good-looking lawyer. Okay, let's just paint a picture here. What's going to happen is, it's going to be much harder for you to keep that girl invested in you because there's an imbalance. And from what I think, and I'd love your opinion, whether you disagree or not. If you disagree, I'm curious how you think about this. I think that women always prefer to date up. Not that they always get that, but women always, I think, prefer to date a guy that has a higher rating than she does. For example, if you're a guy who's a 10 out of 10, you're probably going to be dating a 9 out of 10 woman. In my opinion, that's how I see it. And from what I've seen in my own dating life.
I've seen it reverse though.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen it reverse. I've seen like a 7 dude dating like a 9.
Really? What? So can you explain that? Because that to me is fucking mind blowing, and it's working. I'm not saying that he's not being strung along and he is her little pet.
No. Like maybe even like the opposite dynamic. Like the dude has like, when he initially met her or approached her, he was just good looking enough for her to give him a chance, and then he had really solid game. And yeah, I've seen that. I mean, like, dude, like what would I rate myself? Like maybe a 7, Like
we have the thing is we have a different opinion of what it means to be a 7. That's what it is. Because remember I said boundaries as well. So for an example is like Justin Wayne, or an example of, I'm not even use him because people are like, Justin Wayne, is his girl's real? So we won't go into that. But let's say a guy who's like a 7 but has extremely strong boundaries and has insane abundance and constantly women chasing him. That guy's not a 7 anymore, in my opinion. I think that guy's a fucking 9. Again, you have to know more details about his lifestyle.
Right.
How
Yeah, I
much
mean,
money is he making?
it's a different way to evaluate it. But like, if that in that moment when the guy first approaches the girl doesn't know that he's got strong boundaries. She discovers that.
Well, that's in the moment. That's just in the fucking moment, like the initial moment. That's just the fucking part. That's like short-term dating. I'm talking about long-term, and this is the question I wanted to ask you. Like long-term dating.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna see this guy at least 4 more times.
Yeah.
And maybe like see him regularly and make him my guy, not officially all the time, but rotation or like a girlfriend type situation.
Yeah.
I think that's different. You know what I mean? So I'm saying once she gets to actually know him, of course, physically, I think that a girl will go down physically because that's not that hard. But I think that dating wise, a girl will always date up once she figures out the guy's true value. Does that make sense? Like for me, for example, then I'm going to let you kind of give your feedback on this. For me, for example, my dynamic is kind of when I go up to a girl, my short-term dating value is probably like I honestly believe it's like if I'm compared to a celebrity, let's say Justin Bieber would be a 10.
Justin Bieber's Brad Pitt is a 10.
I don't want to do that because that's like, then I would say I'm a 6. But let's say compared to the average male, the average guy in New York or Miami, I'm probably like a 9 or an 8, something like that. Because I look really good, I dress really good, I'm a complete fuckboy. Girls know that I fuck a lot of guys a lot of girls know.
Freudian slip.
No, girls know that I fuck a lot of girls. Fuck.
I'm done.
I'm not editing that out either. I'm just having to fucking roll that, keep it in. No, but so girls know that I have a lot of options and I can convey that really quickly.
Right.
So, but long-term dating wise, and I found this even in my own dating life, I'm more of like a 7. And I'm being real. Like the guys who bought my product and being fucking real, like I'm more of a 7. The reason why is because I don't have great long-term dating value right now. I really don't.
Yeah, so I would probably disagree with you on this. Like this is probably the one thing that we probably see a little differently. I would say that I would see myself as a 7 short term, like initially, like decent looking, not in bad shape, could be in better shape. But like dating, I would put myself closer to like a 9 because I fuck girls really well, right? Like I'm not trying to brag, it's just a fact. And
fucking brag, bro.
I fuck girls really well. I don't get needy at all, which is like even the guys who do fuck girls really well, which is like 5%. A lot of them get really needy. Like I've talked about this, with like all my fuck buddies.
Yeah.
Like what ends relationships? The other guy got really needy. He got really jealous. He got really controlling. He always wanted to check my phone. He was always blowing me up. I never get that. Like not really. I'm pretty funny. Like I can crack girls up consistently. I can consistently provide value. And so I would say that my long-term value is higher than my short-term value.
Interesting.
If we're using that analogy. But
That's really interesting.
I never use that analogy. But yeah, that's the way I saw that. And I would.
What's your analogy? Like what's the way you see it? Because we see it differently. How do you see it? Like how would you define everything?
I would say that sexual market value. I mean, like if we look short-term, long-term sexual market value, for short-term sexual market value will be a lot more things like appearance and status, right?
Okay.
Like. You could be a 6 physically, but if you're the owner of the club and she's in your club, your sexual market value is a 9 in that moment.
Okay.
Versus if you met her on the street and she had no idea what the fuck your club is, your sexual market value would still be that 6. So that's kind of how I see it. It's more like looks, status, fashion in the moment. We go long term. We're looking more things like boundaries, abundance, non-neediness, how well you fuck the girl, which is huge. Like that's you can have everything on point, but you don't fuck the girl well, she's not gonna be happy like long term.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, like I've seen that. Like I've seen that with a lot of these like dudes whose wives I bang. Like they're cooler than me in like most ways.
I want to say that. I've seen that with a lot of these dudes whose wives I've banged. That just sounds amazing, bro. We're just gonna make that as a GIF, like, or we're gonna put it over and over. I've seen that with a lot of make it like a mixtape.
Well, like after I bang, like I'll be like she'll casually mention something about her husband. And I'll be like, he actually like sounds pretty cool. Like he like has like fucking 2 like fucking go fast boats. Like and she's like, yeah, he's blah 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 blah. I'm like, wow, like show me a picture. I'm kind of curious what this guy looks like. Like, oh, he's like actually pretty good looking. Yeah, but he like fucking wants me to pee on him, and he like I haven't come in years. I'm like, oh, that explains why you're here.
He wants me to pee on him,
like,
and I haven't come in years. Dude, you're sharing value right now. These are quotes.
But these are all things that happen. Like,
he wants me to pee on him, and I haven't come in years.
This was an actual girl that I fucked. Like, this is a woman. She was like in her. She was 40.
How long ago was this?
This would have been 2 months ago.
Okay, was this the one you told me about?
I wrote about her. She's on my website. Yeah.
Okay, you did just tell me. Spread it to the world.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't. Her personal info is not identified.
No, of course, of course.
Yeah, but yeah.
Cool. That's fucking hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, so this is what I would think. Then maybe I probably could change the way that I see my own long-term dating value. Because I mean, I've had success with long-term dating, like rotations and stuff, right? And even there's like a girl that's like kind of my main girl, like my girlfriend, you can call her right now. And like she like kind of makes a lot of sacrifices and stuff for me, and a lot of the same things that like guys like you talk about as far as girls chasing you and like wanting you even more than you want them, the non-neediness, I do have. So actually I learned something there. That's fucking amazing.
I mean, I know for a fact you're not needy. Like, that's one thing you got going that makes you long-term value stand out from 95% of the guys she's been with.
I think I was defining my long-term value potentially in even the wrong way. I think so. I think that I just put so much of a focus on my short-term dating value because that's my the fuckboy frame. Again, that's the whole my big thing. I think I put so much of an emphasis on that maybe it subtracts from how I see myself long-term.
Yeah, that would be my opinion. Yeah,
that could be it. What would you say though for the guy like? So let's give some practical tips. What would you say that guy who is who wants to get in the fucking relationship? Let's kind of talk maybe more relationship side, not just rotations.
No.
Let's say the guy who gets the girl and wants to be in a relationship with her and she kind of likes him as well. How do you get that without being non-needy? Like, how do you get that without being needy? And again, I have my own answer, but I want you to kick it off. Like, how do you start that process with a girl? Not necessarily always an exclusive girlfriend, but how do you make a girl yours without being needy? I know not checking your phone is one thing, but what are some things you can maybe do in your own life where?
Like if you say you meet a girl, you bang her a few times, and you kind of want to like lock it in more or less?
Exactly.
Okay, so
like how do you not disgust her by saying, hey, let's actually see each other? Like how do you not turn her off?
Well, it really, I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying that. Like as long as it's not coming from, it really is like, like with game, it's like how you say it, where the place where it's coming from. Like I really, this may sound hokey pokey, but I really do believe in that. Like if you're like if you're like, listen, like I really think we should see each other, but she can tell that it's because in your voice and more of like your body language and what she's known about you, it's because she feels that she's the only one in your life, or she feels that she's much hotter than the other girls you fuck, and you just want to lock her in. She's gonna be a lot more reluctant. Versus if it's just like, hey, like I really like you, like I want you want it, but you don't need it, like. Because you have 5 other girls you could ask, but you want it. You really want it. There's nothing wrong. Like, wanting something doesn't make you needy. Like, doesn't make you low value. You can be extremely persistent and not be needy because you just want it. You don't need it, though. Like, I don't know. It's like a subtle difference, but it's a very important one.
I think actually what you said now, I'm going to cut you off real quick. I think what you said just now was the key. You said if you had like 5 other girls that you could get. I think most guys, especially guys who listen to like a lot of pickup conditioning, like again, the mainstream stuff, like a lot of times they think that because they have the ability to go out and approach a girl, that means that they have abundance. And we talked about that in like the inner identity module. But actual abundance is having actual girls. Like that's having like actual girls, and that doesn't necessarily mean like all the time that you're sleeping with 20 girls, but which is retarded. I'm saying like 5 to 10 girls. It doesn't mean that, but it means that you have girls constantly texting you. It means that you're constantly setting up dates. I think that you actually, instead of just talking a big game, you actually have to be able to live that life. And a lot of guys, I think, never get that point. because it's almost like they learn game or they work on themselves a bit, but then they shut it down when they meet that girl who's, you know,
you can't really fake abundance long term. You can fake it short term a little bit, but you can't really fake abundance long term.
Why not?
I don't know how you would. Like, the girl will come through in something that you do. Like, if, you know, you're, like, say you're a guy who just got lucky with that, like, fucking 9. You're, like, really a 7. You got lucky with that 9. And she's really the only 9 in reality that you've ever banged. You've only ever banged 6s and 7s. There's going to be something that you do that's going to communicate that to her. You know, like, short term, maybe no.
What would an example of that be?
You're laying in bed and you're like, she mentioned, she's like, oh, I'm going out with, like, my girlfriends, and then you suddenly you're like, or she's like, yeah, I went out with my girlfriends last night, and she's like, and you're like, oh, did you meet any guys? Like it's gonna be something random that's gonna be like that, oh.
I'm just imagining some dude like, she's just like, I went out with my girlfriend, you're like,
you have a heart attack.
The scarcity,
are you okay?
It hurts, the scarcity. Okay.
There were some fuckboys in that bar.
Yes, I met this man last night. He had long hair and he was with his white friend. They were talking about Tinder, and I decided to go hang out with both of them. We're gonna stop. We'll stop there. I'm not gonna talk about what I did to your wife last night. What we did to your wife last night. No, that's really inappropriate. But we're gonna keep that in. Continue.
No, I do think though that, like, if you legitimately do have, like, versus if you have real abundance, like you actually have 9s in your life, or you've banged a lot of 9s in the past. You know, you don't have to actively bang like 5 9s, but you have that, and you know, like, the girl will also see that. It will just come through in your communication, like, just kind of like your carefree attitude, like, because you don't need that girl to be there because you have other 9s, or you have other 9s that, for example, if you text and set up a date, you could bang that night or maybe a few days later. I think that it will be communicated through in the relationship. Like, I really do.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think there's a way to, like, long-term fake.
And also, man, like, women are so much better at reading sub-communication than men do. Like honestly. So, like, even if you think that you're faking it, again, maybe you could fake it if the girl really doesn't know you and you haven't had that time to, like, lay in bed and talk like that.
Yeah, short-term you can fake this shit.
Yeah.
I don't think you can long-term.
No, long-term that shit's, like, not gonna fucking happen. So, for you guys out there who are kind of maybe like, fuck, this is, like, intense stuff, like, where do I begin with this? Again, start by using, like, the fuck boyfriend principles that we've been going over. And again, you're a mastermind, you talk about this shit so much. Yeah. Like, even if it's online game, but it's still women. It is still fucking women. A lot of guys, I think, put a downer on that. They're like,
yeah, I
it's
never understood that.
game.
What does it matter where you met the girl? You met her on the street, at the Whole Foods, you know, in the kale section. You met her in, like, you know, fucking on Tinder, Bumble.
You know, Alex, I don't like online games so much because I like to go through the journey. You know,
I never really. It like makes zero difference where you meet the girl.
The journey's supposed to be rough, Alex. I believe that you should be at least 10,000 approaches before you can truly say you know women. That's my opinion. But it has to be cold approach. It can't even be like I fucked 500.
The easiest way for me.
Opening.
The easiest way for me to break down a cold approach purist, so like the people like, dude, I'm thinking about getting your product, but like, I'm all about cold approach, but I just don't think online is real game. All I do is I'll, like, send them a screenshot of a girl I banged or, like, a picture of her ass. I'm like, oh, does this not look like a real booty to you? And they're like, buying the product. Like,
do they ever ask, like, even a follow up? Like, did you meet that girl online really, or was it through cold approach? Because, you know, there's some guys that think that the only girls that are on Tinder are girls that, like, are not in the street. Like, that's how some of them see it. They're like, I don't want to meet the kind of girls that are on Tinder. I want to meet the girls that I could meet in real life. You do know that she has to go to the store. You do know that she's in the club.
Yeah. I mean, especially it's like 2018. Like, most girls are online. I will say the one I actually haven't talked about this much, but the one big advantage. I mean, there's actually several advantages to cold approach. I mean, one is that you're never going to get catfish because you know exactly what the girl looks like. You're never with online. Sometimes the girl honestly is better than her pictures.
Have you ever gotten catfish?
Yeah, of course.
What was the worst catfish you've ever had?
I mean, like, oh shit.
And for you guys who are maybe like foreign, catfishing basically means when someone is not who they appear to be online. Got it.
I mean, most of the time the girl's just like a secret fatty, right? Like, she looks like hot and curvy in her pics, but she's really like very chubby, you know. Okay.
You've never had like a large black guy appear instead of Jenny, who was blonde.
Yo, boy, you ready for that kinky sex and cuddles?
Or like 3 gay guys just come out of a car.
Alex, the girl. No, but one of my buddies actually did have something like that happen.
Really?
Yeah. He's a really good buddy of mine. I'm not gonna say his name because he has like a legit job. But
I thought you were gonna say you're not gonna say his name because he went with it.
No. This is a pretty funny story. What happened to him is he was talking to a hot girl on Tinder, hot blonde girl, which is his thing. And the girl invited him to a party, right? And she was like, and then when he was on the way to the party, she's like, oh, I'm running late. My buddy will meet you there. Just like chill with him until I get there. And the buddy is like a big black gay dude, right? Like he's a big black gay dude, right? So
that's a bad start.
Yeah, it's a bad start. So he's like, and my buddy's like, I'm at the party, and like the gay dude is hitting on me like the whole time. Like I'm like, yo, bro. So when is like, let's call her Jenny. I forget the girl's name. Like, yo, when is Jenny getting here? And he's like, oh, dude, he'll be here any minute. Like, you want a drink? You want a drink? Like, like constantly like
trying to get him to get drinks and shit.
Constantly running game on my buddy, and then finally, like my buddy's like, okay, something's off here. So he calls Jenny, and the gay guy's phone rings. And then he's like, bro, what the fuck? He's like, are you kidding me?
Oh my god.
And then the gay guy, the funny part is the gay guy denies it all. He's like, no, dude, like, you freaked Jenny out. Like, you were too, like, like she's coming, but you freaked her out. Like, I had her phone, like, comes up with, like, because most of the time these catfishes, they're leading, like, they're deluding themselves. So they're like, they never, like, admit, like, yeah, you know what? I actually am catfishing you. Like, they never say that. It's always yeah, so that was like a shitty experience for him. So he's like, all right, I just walked out of there.
Yeah, I don't fuck with that, dude.
No, I mean, but that's such a small minority of cases, and you can significantly minimize the risk by like reverse searching the number, asking for the Instagram.
That never fucking happens.
Like, it's once in the blue moon.
Yeah,
it never happened to me.
The only catfishing thing that's ever happened to me was like you said, like the secret fatty. Like I had this one chick that was like, actually, she's pretty kind of beautiful, but she just like had her makeup done. No, she was actually big. She was actually pretty small, but she just had like rolls of flab hanging off her. Oh. It was like really bad. But it was worse because like I got her naked back in my apartment, and I saw it. I literally was like nauseated. Do you know what I do? Like if I ever I'm not even joking. This is really funny. If I'm ever having sex with a girl and I think about to come early, I think about this girl, and I have to maintain not losing my boner and like staying hard because I'll be fucking and I'm like, shit, I don't want to come, and I'll just visualize that girl.
What happened when she took her shirt off? Were you like, yeah, so I'm actually like gay, or? No,
I just laid down. I just sat with her in my bed and we just like chilled and listened to music. She was waiting for me to fuck her, and it got really weird. And then I didn't even say anything about it. Like it was late.
Interesting.
And she just went home. I didn't give a shit. I was like, she was a really cool girl. I didn't want to touch her at all.
Yeah.
She tried to give me head, and I was like, I wouldn't be able to get hard. Like
I actually blow those out pretty fast. Like I'll just be like, I won't be mean. I'll never be mean, but I'll be like, hey, sorry, I'm not feeling. I've done like 1 minute, like girl's a secret fatty. I'm like, she's like, hey, Alex. I'm like, hey. She's like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm like, yeah. So something I gotta tell you. She's like, oh. What is it? I'm like,
does she already know? The kind of thing like that.
Well, because she knows it's coming because she knows that she doesn't look like her pics.
Is it like a different girl in the pics?
No, it's the same girl, but it was her like 40 pounds ago.
Amazing lighting.
Her 3 years ago.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead. And so you're like...
Yeah, so I'm really fast. Like, I don't, like some guys, they go through like the whole shenanigan of the date and like they go through the hour and then they think of excuse. I don't do any of that. I'm just straight up. I'm like, hey, sorry, I'm not really feeling it. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
what is like the worst reaction you've gotten?
Never gotten a bad one. You're honest and like that. Like you never get a bad reaction. I've never had one. The girls are just like, okay, thank you. I appreciate your honesty. It's okay. No worries.
I feel bad for the girl now. Like I feel genuinely bad.
But
like this happens to guys, but I feel bad for the girl.
I do too, to an extent.
It's so
but like,
sad.
But I feel like it's worse to like waste the 45 minutes of her time and your time.
Oh no, I'm not saying you should do that either.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you should do that. I'm saying I just feel bad for her having to go through that length. So like,
I do, because some of these girls drove like an hour to meet me. Like,
Jesus Christ, dude.
I remember one of them was like a virgin, and I like spent like, we had this long crazy text exchange where I convinced her to like lose her virginity to me, and she was like, you know what, like, okay, let's meet at this mall, and as long as you're not a creep, we'll go back to your place, and I'm ready for it. And like I convinced her like this was Coffee Meets Bagel, to let me take her virginity, and then we meet at the mall, and she's like chubby, and I'm like, she drove an hour out to lose her virginity, and I'm like, hey, so something I gotta tell you. I'm really not feeling it.
That's the line. Whatever. If you're a girl ever watching this, I don't know, any random chick who buys the fuckboy frame, and you see this, and Alex, you're on a date with him, and he says, "There's something I gotta tell you."
There's something I gotta tell you.
You know that you are a secret fatty.
Yeah, you're a secret fatty. You should be ashamed. You need Jesus in your life. Yeah.
Something I gotta tell you. I'm just nervous. Not feeling this. No, but kind of back to what we were talking about. We were saying about how guys like kind of put cold approach on this pedestal, and what you've made the last year of your life. I think it's been about a year since you've been really doing the playing with fire thing hardcore, right? Yeah. That's kind of when we connected. I think that you've really kind of transformed, not the whole community, because there's thousands and hundreds of thousands of guys out there, but you've developed a significant community. Your Facebook group, the free one, is like at 5,000, give or take, something like that, even more.
Now.
Yeah, even like 6K. And then your mastermind, like where you put all your effort in. Yeah, like 200 something. Yeah, that's fucking incredible. But to kind of get back to what you were saying, I think that a lot of guys over exaggerate the importance of cold approach. I mean, cold approach is great. Like going out and meeting women, again, the taking action module, that's what it's about. You know, like going out and actually approaching girls and learning how to do that. But part of this as well is just meeting women. And I think if you're a guy who doesn't have that abundance, I think that Tinder is a great place to fucking start.
It really
like
is.
If you ask me, I think that Tinder is a great place to start. Did you kickstart your like abundance with women, your real abundance with women through Tinder?
Yeah, definitely.
Can you talk about that? Like, how did you start with that?
I actually started with Craigslist.
I'm out. Go ahead.
No, but like I talk about this on my website. Articles where
I didn't know you started with that though.
Yeah, no, I did. How I banged the hottest woman ever. Like no one believes this until they see the pics or they see the lay reports. But like the lay reports are on there now. I kept Craigslist secret for a long time. I didn't tell anyone about it. Oh. Now I don't care because I meet enough girls through Tinder. Like I don't care if it's out there. But initially, I kept it all to myself for like years. But I met some of the hottest girls through Craigslist. I banged like almost 10s, 9.5s through Craigslist. Like I've had, yeah.
And you teach that you teach your Craigslist process to your mastermind.
Yeah, I teach that. Yeah,
it's fucking awesome. So you started with Craigslist, and then how did you begin to kind of? Because I know your story a bit. You were kind of just like me, like nice guy, not getting laid a lot. Like maybe you fucked one or two girls or something, but it wasn't like.
I mean, at that point, so when I was getting into online, I was already doing a lot of cold approach. So I would say I was banging at that point. Before, when I first got into online, I would say I was banging 2 to 3 new girls a month.
Okay,
right?
That's not terrible.
It's not terrible. It was all through cold approach. I was
attractive.
I would say my average quality is a lot higher now. Back then, the average quality was 5.5 to 7 with occasional 8.
Okay.
Yeah. This is subjective, 5.5 to 7, not like the bullshit community 5.5, which is really a 3. Like these are all. Most of these were girls that you would fuck, but you wouldn't brag about, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's mainly what I was getting through cold approach. But the key thing to keep in mind is I was spending most of my time on it. Like I wasn't going to the gym. I wasn't making any money. I didn't have a career. I didn't have any kind of a brand. I didn't do anything fucking else besides cold approach and like get high with my friends.
So we discussed when you put the game as everything, it sucks all your time.
Yeah, it's all I did, and I was getting like the ROI 2 to 3 a month is just not that great. And then I remember like I read something online. Someone in a forum mentioned about Craigslist, and I was like, let's give this a shot. And I remember the first night I made my Craigslist ad. I had. She wasn't exactly my type because she was very model looking. I'm not really into model looking girls because she's like tall, but she was like subjectively very attractive. She was like this very tall, skinny, pretty like model looking type of girl. And she rolled up to my place from a Craigslist ad, and I banged her like 2 minutes later, right? And that kind of like blew my mind. It was like a little bit of like, I'm like, holy shit, like. You know, like if this was cold approach, I'd have to have approached all these girls, and I'd have gone on so many dates. Because my closing ratio was a lot lower back then. I would have had done all the shit, and I just did this so easily. So that was kind of like the beginning of like the journey into online. I'm like, okay, this is like interesting. Then was getting started getting laid from Craigslist. Again, it wasn't like crazy amounts, but like here and there, because Craigslist can be like kind of like on and off. And then cracked into Tinder, then cracked into Bumble, while still doing some cold approach and still banging girls from cold approach. So that was kind of the start of it.
That's fucking awesome, dude. And I know that for me, part of like my journey with women as well, like a big supplement to the results I've gotten from cold approach. And I think I had an advantage because I had so many mentors who were so good at cold approach. Like even one of my mentors was like just a really cool dude who had a lot of like shit going on in his life. Like he was a partner in a financial firm and all kinds of stuff, but he was a day gamer. So like having a mentor like that, for example, showed me how to do things the right way. Unfortunately, I had it 4 years into my game. But I think that online game, like even now, like I go to different cities or in programs, like I wouldn't be able to get the same level of results that I do now without putting in so much effort into like roaming the streets and approaching without actually using like online game. Yeah. I think that's a valuable resource. And a lot of guys are lost. Honestly, like a lot of guys are like, when it comes to online game, they're like dude, it's crazy, man. Like sometimes what I'll do is I'll just try to like trigger guys on the train, and I'll just swipe on Tinder next to them, like while I know they're looking at like my profile, and they're like I get comments on it, and some of them are just like, yo, dude, that girl's bad. How you getting matches and shit? And I'm like, Village check playing with fire.
Yeah,
Yo, who's that?
So some of these dudes get to that like, an epiphany of like success online is just getting the match. They haven't even gotten the hot girl match. Like,
Yeah.
oh, bro, you got the match. Like, oh.
Yeah. No, but then they see me talking to hot girls too.
Oh, okay,
They're like, what the? They're like, what the fuck?
Oh, gotcha.
Because again, they don't understand that. They think that it's about like your text game and stuff like that, but that doesn't even make sense.
Misinformation.
Or they think it's about putting like a good selfie up, a good selfie like in your fucking bathroom, right? Or some guy who's like in shape will put like abs.
Dude, I saw one thing like because on my group. Actually, this wasn't my group. This was my business partner's group, David's group. It was like we have like you can do like a profile evaluation. So you post your profile, people critique it. And this one dude, his first profile picture is him taking a shit, and it's a selfie. And he's like, "Why am I not getting any matches?" I'm like, "Because your first picture is you taking a fucking shit. Like, why would you think that's a good idea?"
He's doing it, I think, because he thinks that's expressing himself. That's not him.
That's like some extreme polarizing shit.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Because every girl, when she's like horny at night, she's like, "Oh my god, the dude that was taking a shit." Like, I needed that in my life.
No, it's fucking ridiculous.
So yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of like definitely people dicking around online, like just doing the wrong thing, taking the wrong kind of pictures, having shitty profiles.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, I think again you have to start somewhere. That's why I constantly talk about your stuff, because I think it's that powerful. Like it gives you a place to start, and then a place to go farther than that. Like even Bumble, and now I think I'll probably start looking into some of your Craigslist stuff. I don't know if I'll have time, and I'm also afraid. I'm not afraid really, but I'm just like, I know you got my back. You'll eliminate all of the jacked black guys that will answer my ad.
Well, that was with Tinder actually. My buddy who got catfished.
No, it was Tinder. I know, but I'm saying, just the idea of Craigslist. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about that.
There is.
Yeah. Kind of the last thing that I want to talk to you about, and thanks for your time, man. This has been a fucking blast. Is kind of to all the guys out there, just maybe your final wrap up, as it were. Where would you say, and then we'll kind of end by talking kind of about what you're doing next and what guys can expect from you as well. I think that's a good place to end. Before we get to that, I kind of want you to tell guys, like, if there's someone right now who, the people who are watching this have gone through the product, they've gone through the fuckboy frame, and they've seen, the infields in the fuckboy frame, and they've learned how to find themselves in a way. Of course, they've done the exercises and all that stuff. Now it's kind of time for, I'm talking to you now it's time for you to fucking start. So what would your advice be to whoever is watching this right now? What would your advice be to him who's watching this? How can he start to feel more confident and to feel like a guy who can be in that 10% if he's so far down? And maybe you're not that far. Maybe you're the value guy. Maybe you're close. Maybe you're where I was, the nice guy. But how can a guy who's there take steps today to start to get to the guy that's in that 10%, or have the personality traits, the qualities, those fuckboy qualities, those fuckboy frame qualities?
I mean, yeah, that's it's a
broad question.
Yeah, it's a broad question. I mean, I will say like a big part of it is if you're a dude who's banged like 300-400 girls, it's really hard not to be confident. I mean, you can have moments of self-doubt, and you can have times where you kind of run out of things to say, and times where you get anxiety. And I still definitely do, like, get, like, anxiety at times. I get a little nervous at times. But overall, overarchingly, it's hard not to be confident when you fucked a lot of girls around women. Like, like, you put me in, like, like a, finance boardroom meeting, like, something I know jack shit about. And, present on finance, and, like, these guys, Wall Street dudes start tearing it up. Like, dude, do you even, like, know anything about finance? I'm like, yeah, maybe I don't. But, like, in those situations, like, so getting the abundance, like actually getting laid, like getting the win, like for example, like my Tinder shit, like, banging the girls on Tinder, banging the girls through cold approach, banging the girls, in real life, like doesn't matter where you get the girls. Yeah. So I think a big part of it is just like, and I don't want to frame it as like a nihilistic journey to get to like a count, like, you get to 200, you can finally feel confident. I'm just saying, like, in general, like if you have abundance of women in your life, you will feel a lot more confident. And that, which will translate into other women. It's like an upward spiral, I would say. I mean, also doing things like, for example, like if you look at it logically, like going to the gym and lifting heavy weights will increase your testosterone, and will increase your hormone function, which will give you more confidence. Mm-hmm. So doing shit like that, good body language will, for example, also make you feel more confident at one moment. Dressing well and getting positive responses from people will also make you feel more confident. So it can be like a variety of things that will increase your confidence. I don't know if that kind of answers.
No, that's great, man. That's great. And I mean, I'll echo that sentiment. I think that one of the biggest things that I talk about in the last module is that when it comes to like fulfilling your potential as a man, you have to actually take a step to start somewhere. The first thing is like, I want to say, and I think you'd probably agree, watching this video, like I think we've shared a fuck ton of value here, but watching this video is not going to help you. Like just because you watch this video, you've done zero. You've gained nothing from this unless you actually start applying. Sure. Like unless you actually start applying. That's why even you said about the girls. Like you can say you have abundance because I go out and approach, but if you actually don't have women, you don't have fucking abundance.
There's some dudes who won't even approach. Like J-Malf tells me the story, and I know this kid also. Some kid he's talking to J-Malf. He's like, J-Malf, I don't feel like there's really anything you can teach me about with pickup. And J-Malf's like, well, what's your lay count? He's like 2. I'm like,
oh, I remember. I've heard that story.
I know everything there is. I'm like, okay, good. You know everything there is, but like,
yeah.
fucking like, you know, like my mom, you know, or like I don't know, like my like uncle who's never like doesn't know shit about pickup has gotten way more pussy than you.
Yeah.
Just because he actually talks
you went to say your mom has gotten way more pussy.
I was trying to like link that, but everyone, my mom is not like a lesbian, so like, yeah, it's not an appropriate analogy, but yeah, like you know, so there's like the theory dudes who just like dick around, just watch videos all day.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, like none of this is going to help you if you don't take action. And the other thing I would say to kind of jump onto what you said is take risks in your life as well, right? Like take fucking risks. I know that I grew the most in my life when I took massive risks. And the funny part is that risks a lot of times actually pay off. Most people think that risks, I think, are always bad. And I'm not saying that they're not going to be, that they wouldn't pay off. Sometimes they don't, actually. I'm just being real. But a lot of times, actually, if you fully dive into a risk, it tends to pay off. Maybe not always in the way like your business is completely successful. Like if you start a business, for example, you quit your job and start a business, maybe that business won't be successful, but maybe you'll meet a connection of someone else that you could work with, and you build a future business 10 years later from working with that person, right?
Every single successful person is a risk taker.
That's for sure.
Calculated risk taker.
I noticed it in my students as well. Like the guys that get the most results are the guys that took the most risks.
Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, this has been great, man. Where can we find your stuff, and kind of what value do you have tangibly to offer people that they can pay for and invest in? What can people do to work on themselves going forward with your help?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to get started is to go on my website, playingfire.com. Take a look at some of the lay reports. You can find that like fucking Craigslist girl. That'll definitely be a kick for everyone. And get my online dating blueprint, which has everything. So the way it's set up is it has everything you need to do to raise your sexual market value. Get the right pictures, get the right profile set up, message girls, run rotations, all that A to Z, everything you need to know to be successful. And also all the stuff I'm working on, you will get for free, right? So you pay like right now I think we just raised the price. It's $139 to buy it, and then you get all the core stuff that I just mentioned, and all the stuff I'm like working on, which is like Instagram game, all that shit, couch surfing game, like all the stuff we have coming up. You'll get that. Yeah. So I think that's really like the best way. I mean, to get started on that, and like also we got like a lot of interesting shit like we're developing in the mastermind group. Like for example, right now I got like a Alex's getting jacked thread, right? So right now I'm like playing around with like some like SARMs, SARMs, side note, and like I'm doing all these like diet hacks to try to get jacked as fast as possible. Yeah. I've been at it for 2 months now, and like for example, I have significantly like objectively improved I've gone from like skinny fucking little bitch to like athletic but still skinny bitch, like I've have significantly improved my appearance. So I got like these threads going in like 3 months when I reach like the shape that I want to be in, like when I have like substantial amount of muscle, like that would be like a big thing. It's like how you can get jacked really, really fast. So it's like all these things that we're experimenting around, we're giving to our members essentially.
That's fucking awesome. Okay, cool, man. So that sounds fucking amazing. And Alex is my resident Tinder coach. He's my Tinder coach, coaches me on this shit. You know how like some people are like, they talk about like their personal trainer. They're like, yeah, I love playing sports.
Well, dude, this is why I want you to move to Miami so you can help me get better at my game. Like, I could definitely improve a lot of that.
Sure.
Like, I miss a lot of technical things. Like, I'm just not doing correctly.
I feel bad because you can help me with Tinder from anywhere, and I have to be here to like help you with that game. Much, yeah. No, but you know how athletes are like, this is my trainer, and like tag him. It's like, this is my Tinder coach. So the ways that I got it, and I wouldn't be having you on here or anything if I didn't think it was fucking amazing. And it's incredible what you're doing, man. And I think that everyone should definitely check it out. Check out the free shit before you buy anything. If you're skeptical, check out the free shit.
There's a lot of free
shit. You can learn a lot from the free shit, right? Alex, thank you, my friend.
Thank you
very much.
Much
Take care. Peace.